Okay, so if you notice in number 22, the tempo that I played, and probably a tempo I played almost all of these, I played, pretty quick. Many of you will not be able to play it that quick. Some may get close. There's no reason why you can't have a more conservative tempo. Okay, that may be a little slow, but for some of you, that may be fast. So what I would recommend is while you're practicing it, start slow and work for perfection. And after you are playing it relatively clean, then you can start increasing your speed. And I would recommend maybe line by line, you're just kind of working on the individual lines and going slow, a little faster, and then go to the next line, maybe the next day, and work on the next line. And again, start slow and then go a little faster, and then put them together. And then the next day that you practice, try the third line. And kind of use that. If you can do obviously more per practice session, that would be great. But work to try to be as clean and as correct as possible. Don't think so much about speed. Think about playing correct, because you can build upon correctness. You can't build upon speed. If it's sloppy and fast, it's just going to be sloppy. So if you look at the second measure, you have a dotted eighth note 16th. If that eighth note gets a little lazy, it can sound like a triplet. So normally it would be okay, so that's triplet would be. So what I would do is think of playing the 16th note a little shorter and make sure that you're concentrating. You can actually practice doing this. If you play 3 16ths and the 4th 16th will be the A natural, you could do this. And then try in your mind to hold those 3 16th notes, so it's. That's another way you can work on that. But just remember, play a little shorter, a little later. And that most of the time will help. Also, you want to really pay attention. You probably can't hear it in the recording because my cell phone tends to equal out dynamics between soft and loud. But you want to really be diligent that you're paying attention to the dynamic markings in the piece of music. There are some accented notes. Make sure that you get those accented notes. Okay, so if we look at that second measure, it starts off at the beginning with forte, and then it goes down the piano on that second measure, and then it goes up to mezzo forte on the third measure, and then during that third line, you've got some interesting, difficult little passage with 3 16ths, and then there's a short little 16th note rest. Make sure that that rest is just the length of a 16th note, kind of like how. Okay, a lot of people may go. So make sure that you keep a steady beat through that. So you keep a steady beat throughout that line, and that you're not going. That also was a mistake because I was way too much time on that rest. Okay, so, and if we go to the 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth line, we've got a very short 2-beat crescendo piano that crescendos up for 2 beats on the D natural. Dun 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 dun. And that one, we want to start piano and kind of crescendo up to close to a mezzo forte. And then we have a mezzo forte 2 measures later, and a crescendo up to like forte, and then immediately back down to piano. So make sure that it's kind of like a building piano, works up to mezzo forte, works up to forte, and then immediately back down to piano. And then the last line, there's a crescendo back up to forte. So that's 22. Okay, so 25. Again, the tempo I played was very brisk. Many of you will not be able to do it that fast. There really is no reason why that you could play it at that tempo. That's a lot more conservative. The important thing to me is not how fast you play it, but it's how clean with the right notes. So what I would recommend is I would start with measure by measure. And really, maybe the first time, if you have to play really slow, very slow. Also recognize that every single measure and every single beat is slurred to, tongue to. The whole piece is the same way. The first 2 notes are slurred and the next 2 notes are tongued. So just put that in your thought process. So you shouldn't have to worry about that. It should be second nature if you think, oh, it's slurred to, tongue to. So really what you need to do is once you get to that second line, you've got some accidentals in the C natural, and the C natural, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 C naturals, and then on the last measure of the second line, it's a C sharp. So make sure that you are aware of that. And the way to work your speed, I would recommend kind of what we talked about in number 22. We're going to play measure by measure and start slow. And then if you could do it 2 times without missing a note, then try it a little faster. And then and that's kind of how you work your way through the whole thing. And if you have trouble with the higher notes, what I would do is I would do long tones, practicing. Like if you can play a C natural really well, and you struggle on a D, what I would do is practice long tones on a C natural. And when you feel comfortable with that, go up a half step. And if you're okay with that, go up a half step. And I'm going to simulate having problems. If that happens, where you're playing the note and you lose it, you drop down to a lower note, pay close attention. See if one of your lip is rolling out. And that could be the problem with one of your lips rolling out. So what you really try to do when you're playing the upper notes, think of that you just bit onto something really sour. And it kind of makes your lips kind of roll in. And when you're practicing those notes that you're struggling with in the upper range, really try to keep your lips together, rolling in like you're saying Get the lips roll in, not to roll out. And then see how many seconds you can play it. And once you are playing it a little longer, then go up to the next note. And then when you're able to do that, go up to the next note. And if you're trying to play it, you're still going. Make sure you're keeping this in, but also I tell my students a lot of times, pick something against the wall and imagine that your air is going to go all the way out to the opposite side of the room. So you're going to really support and get the air going through the horn, keeping your lips together. That should, over time, strengthen your upper range so you can slowly work up to the high G natural. But start where you feel comfortable with. If you're comfortable with a C or a D, that's where you start. Go up half steps with the E flat, E, and go up to an F, go up to an F sharp, go up to a G. And when you feel comfortable with G, then that will be able to help for the piece. Okay, so 23 is technically probably the most difficult. And it's really technically the most difficult with all the accidentals. And so you really have to take your time. And I would practice this one measure at a time and really make sure that you're playing all the notes. So if it means playing as slow as like this, to make sure you have every single note correctly. It doesn't matter if the timing's right or wrong, just the notes, you're playing the proper notes. Okay, I've got the right notes. Now I'm going to play the rhythm. Okay, and then, second time. And you're going to have to spend a lot of time on this because the second measure, there's an accidental. The third measure, you got an F sharp and an E natural, plus the reoccurring B flat that happens. The last measure of the first line is an E flat, a C sharp, and then a C natural. So, you know, if I look at that last measure of the first line, mean, I'm playing really slow, but I'm trying to play it exact. So once you have the notes, again, it's that last measure of the first line, then you can play the rhythm. Okay, that's very slow, but it's every single note correct, and then a little faster. And I tend to try to do it 2 or 3 times without missing one note. If you miss one note, you start over. So the goal is, let's just say do it 2 times. That measure 2 times without missing one note. So an example, if I go, oops, I messed up. I played a C natural, so I start back with 1. Let's see if I can do 2 in a row. That's 1. Now that's 2. Now I'm ready to go a little faster. But if you go too quickly, you'll make more mistakes. So the key to 23 is you're going to have to go measure by measure by measure by measure, slowly working on it. Do the first measure, spend maybe 2 minutes on it. Do the second measure, do 2 minutes, and then put them together. Then do the third measure, maybe 2 minutes. Put the first three measures together. Then the last measure, 2 minutes maybe. Some will be less, some will have to do more, and then put the whole first line together. And that's how you need to really spend time preparing number 23. And don't wait. This one's a difficult piece. You've got to get on top of it pretty quickly because the accidentals are going to really make it very complex unless you take the time. So the most important thing is you really need to not play things too quickly until you're absolutely sure. I'll give you an example. The second measure from the end, it's a D, G, F sharp, G, B flat, A, G, F, but it's actually an F sharp because it's in that measure. I've actually had students that have messed that up and played an F natural. So really, again, one of the reasons why I say play it slow is to make sure that at least for one time you have every single note. So that second measure from the end. If you need to hold each note out to get it in your ear so you can hear it, and then when you feel, okay, I know the notes, then you can try to play. Okay? So, good luck